He's one of the popular co-hosts of NFL Network's Good Morning Football, Kyle Brandt, joining us on the program. He's a torn Achilles survivor. I don't know how big that community is, how often they meet, but Kyle joins us on the program. You were on the sidelines last night at MetLife Stadium.
That's right.
How would you describe the atmosphere?
It's the sharpest, fastest 180 I've ever seen. In about 20 seconds, Rodgers is running out with an American flag on 9/11. It's the people who have covered the Jets for 30 years say it's the loudest they've ever heard the stadium. And then 20 seconds later, he's on the cart. I'm standing on the field, Dan, and I'm standing next to some first responders who are being honored there, the New York firefighters. The second he goes down, I'm standing next to him. The guy turns to me and he says, "Oh, he's done. He's done." And I go, "Really?" He goes, "He's done." The weirdest thing about last night, I don't think this came off on the broadcast, is that there was really bizarre weather in New Jersey last night. There was a shelter-in-place warning. There was all sorts of rain and stuff. So thousands of Jets fans were late arriving to the stadium. I had to leave right after the injury because I had to do the morning television. Then I walk out of MetLife, and the first thing I saw were these Jets fans coming in. There was a family of 5. It was a husband, it was a wife, it was 3 kids. One of the kids was on the dad's shoulders. All 5 of them are wearing number 8 Aaron Rodgers jerseys. They don't know what happened. They walk into the stadium with thousands of other Jets fans, and they're like, "What the hell's Wilson doing in the game?" It was genuinely sad. I felt bad for him. I have no bad jokes. I think it was a terrible thing.
Yeah, I'm sports depressed today.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a clinical condition for that, but it's just you don't want to see. We wanted to see what the possibility was for the Jets, and I mentioned this to the audience: the highest of highs and lowest of lows. Would you put the Falcons leading 28-3 in the Super Bowl to losing this? Like, I'm trying to look at comps for this. Bill Buckner and the Red Sox are going to win the World Series. Ball goes through his legs. Bartman with the Cubs, like the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And I don't know if you have one that comes to mind.
Well, Bartman was really personal to me. I'm from Chicago, but I remember that, that 3 hours of that game 6 before it all fell apart. I said, we're going to the World Series. We had the joy. It was taken from us, but the Falcons fans had a great day that day until the second half turned around against the Patriots. Because the worst part is, Dan, if the Jets fan thing happens last night, they didn't even get a single completed pass. They didn't even get a taste. And then they got to wake up in this morning and be insulted by seeing names like Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke. Yeah. That doesn't help. That's not what you need.
Rodgers' demeanor, and you, of course, tore your Achilles.
I did.
But Rodgers, I think, and Kobe, when Kobe tore his, from what I'm told, and you'll know it better, but they knew it. Like, Rodgers knew that this was something serious. Kobe knew it was something, and it was something different. Because it's not a knee, it's not an ankle, it's an Achilles. What is that feeling like when you first know I just did something really stupid?
It's distinct. It's not, I turned my ankle. Those guys do that 3 times a night. It's not someone stepped on me. I'm just going to walk it off. Give me a second. You know immediately that something's broken. I ruptured my Achilles at the exact same age as Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old. It was the same legs, the same injury. I'm not likening myself to him as an athlete, but we're both flesh and blood. And the thing they never want to do is they never want to go down. You notice that both Rodgers and Kobe, they get up and try to walk it off, and then they go down. And when I was reading about last night, one of the linemen from the Jets goes to help up the quarterback, and he says, "No, I'm not getting up." It's a sickening certainty that your body is not hurt, it's broken, and there's something missing. And that's why, Dan, this morning, I detest this phrase that's going around right now about they fear he has a ruptured Achilles. Let me make this very clear. The Achilles test for a rupture, it is 5 seconds long. You do it on the field. You put the athlete on their stomach or on the table. You squeeze their calf. If their foot moves, the Achilles is intact. If it doesn't move, it's ruptured. So any team that fears the Achilles is torn, it's done. They know already. There's no fear. It's a certainty.
Yeah, so this is probably a formality. I don't know why.
It is.
But he's going to do a MRI this morning, and they're going to find out that it is a torn Achilles. But the recovery part of this, at that age, you're just coming back to have normalcy in your life.
Correct.
He's trying to come back to play quarterback in the NFL. Handicap, what it's going to take.
Well, you make the point. I was trying to be able to take out the garbage again and carry in groceries. Rodgers is going to try to lead the Jets again. I think he'll have surgery within the week. You do it as fast as possible. And then you rehab. And listen, if he wants to play football and the Jets want him to, he'll be ready to throw the football in the spring. And Dan, I expect that he will. I said it this morning. I'll say it again. I don't think this is over. One, it's possible medically. He's older, fine. We saw Dan Marino tear his Achilles, come back and throw for 4,000 yards the next season. But also, look, Aaron Rodgers is not only the most talented quarterback I've ever seen, he's by far the pettiest and by far one of the most ego-driven. There is no way he's going to let the story end being crumpled up on a cart on September 11th in New Jersey. I think he will be back. He's under contract. He's not going to be pushed out by some sort of Jordan Love figure, or he was to Favre. I think he'll rehab like crazy, throw in the spring, and be ready to play in the fall. I don't think he'll let it end like this.
He's a torn Achilles survivor. Thoughts and prayers. Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football joining us on the program. What would you do if you ran the Jets?
I would put on the tape of the defense and of Breece Hall, and I would sit there and do nothing. And I'd say, Zach Wilson, sit down, son. You're going to practice your handoffs, and you're going to throw it away, and we're going to punt the bejesus out of this season, and we're going to Trent Dilfer this thing, and we're going to try to get to the playoffs. I've seen all the names. I mentioned already Carson Wentz and Heineke and da-da-da-da-da. Listen, Schrager was stirring the pot this morning trying to say that Brady is going to join the Jets, which would be 10 times Jeter decided to become a Red Sox at the end of his career because he offered some ownership. I don't see it. I know Brady's here. I also know Brady looks to be about 140 pounds, happy and at rest for the first time in his life. You want to set him up behind that Jets O-line for these Jets fans who have hated him and now are going to celebrate it? I would sit there and be like, Zach Wilson, don't kill the season for us. The Brady thing's fascinating, but Dan, if they offered to make him a trillionaire at the end of his life, I think maybe you could get his interest. A trillionaire, though.
Well, I think that's what people have to realize. That offensive line is not getting better. You can get better at the quarterbacking position by bringing in Tom Brady, but the line doesn't get any better. And Brady is slower, less athletic than Aaron Rodgers is. And if I'm Tom Brady, I would say, can you send me all of the offensive lineman play from this year and last year? And then I'll give you my answer. And that answer would be, are you kidding me?
I know.
No way. But, Zach, do the Jets know what they have in Zach Wilson?
Yeah, definitely. They definitely know. It's not much. They have him at drafted number 2 overall, and they have him under contract. And listen, don't underestimate the hard knocks saccharin that they can sprinkle on things. That team makes everybody look like the greatest story you've ever seen. And Zach Wilson has had a great summer. He's trying hard, and he's jovial, and he's listening to Rodgers. He still steps in and throws a terrible interception to Matt Milano last. It was just awful. He's not going to be the guy, but he can hand off. And, man, they can run and play some D, Dan. And if they get to, 10-7, maybe they squeak in and then pray Rodgers comes back next year. But they definitely know what they have.
Give me the storyline, good or bad, that will continue. So after week 1's results, take the Jets out of this. But the week 1 question, good or bad, that persists the entire season. It wasn't an aberration.
Well, I like to say that week 1 in the NFL is a liar. It is a pathological liar. Weird, bizarre things happen in week 1 that are completely unique to week 2s through 18. Last year, you remember the Bears beat the Niners week 1. The year before that, the Jameis Winston Saints destroyed the Aaron Rodgers Packers. So a lot of these things, these familiar brands that we've all trusted in, they'll bounce back. The Bengals are not going to be terrible. The Steelers aren't. The Bills aren't. The one that I'm worried about is the Bears. And I'm really worried about the Bears and Fields et al. Because I'm starting to see this disgusting cycle, Dan, for Justin Fields. And you start to see it where the people online and the fans will say, oh, the O-line this and the coordinator that. And that stuff carries weight for a while. But when you're in year 3 and you've drafted O-line and you've spent money and you've drafted the receiver, it's like the parent, Dan, who like the quarterback is their kid, and they're the kid's struggling in sports, and they say, the coach isn't teaching him right, and the kid can't get the math test right, and we got to get new teachers. After a while, your kid is stupid and unathletic. I'm sorry, but we can only say that for so long. The kid's 17. Nick Saban's not calling, my friend. That's what I'm worried about with Fields.
I don't know why there were such great lofty expectations for the Bears.
It's asinine.
I got it. I didn't get, Paulie is a Bears fan. I go, why were your expectations so high?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I don't know. Maybe Paulie was high. And that's why he had high expectations. Like, what are you doing? I mean, it's still the Bears at the end of the day. And, that receivers go there to die. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields is maybe who we think he is. That's just a nice curiosity.
The offense seems to be, every once in a while, Fields will make this sweet run and get 9 yards and move the chains, and everybody loses their minds. He never seems to throw the timing passes. And they're the number one pick in the draft. They held it. They had the keys to the party, and they traded it for a Panthers receiver who they threw to 3 times in the first game of the season. That was Fields' 28th start. That was Jordan Love's 3rd start. It was a nightmare. Listen, you guys know, Paulie knows, like, there have been 5 or 6 days in my life that have been disappointing as a Chicagoan. We already named one, the Steve Bartman game. Scottie Pippen refusing to enter the game when Phil Jackson drew up a play for Tony Kukoc, the second half of the Rex Grossman Super Bowl, my prom, and the game on Sunday against the Packers. Just all terrible disappointments.
Bears don't score. We don't score at prom.
Yeah,
exactly right. It's good.
Yeah, imagine how your date probably tells that story too. I mean, she probably had a bad night too.
Terrible, Dan. The whole thing was at the O'Hare Hyatt. It's at a O'Hare Hotel. We went as platonic friends. We go to some house at the end. There's 4 other couples. The second we finish dinner, they go to 4 separate rooms, and my dumb platonic friend and I are playing Uno on prom night. I swear to God, you can't make it up.
You are the Bears of prom dates.
We really are. I don't even have one of those wild cards. I'd take it. I'd slap it down. I had terrible cards. The worst.
Good to talk to you. Thank you again, Kyle.
Thanks for having me, Dan. Love you guys.
That's Kyle Brandt, co-host of NFL Network's Good Morning Football. Got a lot of energy there. And torn Achilles survivor.